Weezy F Baby, Toon, Tunchi, Lil Wayne. Hands down the biggest rapper out of New Orleans and one of the most important rappers ever. Wayne had a lot of potential from the jump, but like Neo in the Matrix, he manifested his spot atop hip-hop. Let's talk about the self-proclaimed best rapper alive and give Lil Wayne his rose. Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. was raised in Holly Grove, New Orleans in the 17th Ward. He was raised by his mother and his stepfather, who he references in records by his nickname, Rabbit. He started writing raps when he was 8 years old, and he would rap in battles at parties as well. It was one of these parties where Wayne was discovered by Cash Money Records artist Little Slim, who mentioned him to Baby and Slim. They went to see Wayne and they were impressed, but they just gave Wayne a business card and moved on. Wayne called the number daily, leaving freestyles on their answer machines. Baby decided to put Wayne under his wing and help him maximize his potential. He officially signed to Cash Money when he was 14 years old. Wayne's first project was a joint project with new Cash Money signee Little Dougie, who changed his name to BG. The group's name was the BGs, with the album being called True Story. He would also join the group The Hot Boys with Juvenile, BG, and Young Turk. They dropped their first album, Get It How You Live, in 1997, and the follow-up, Guerrilla Warfare, in the summer of 1999. Cash Money was the hottest label on the scene in 99. With Wayne's features on albums like Juvenile's 400 Degrees,
Drive it like it's hot, drive it like it's hot.
and BG's Chopper City in the Ghetto,
It's Wayne, baby. Thugged out, won't change, baby. I do your main lady in a blue navigated.
everyone was eager to see what Wayne could do with a solo effort. In November 1999, Lil Wayne dropped his debut album, The Block Is Hot. The album may sound aged a bit now when you listen to it, but during the release, it had a lot of people talking. Manny Fresh gave Wayne a C&B sound and let him off the leash. Some fire from this album include The Block Is Hot, Fuck the World, Not Like Me, and a heartfelt 17-year-old giving his dad an update on what's happened since he was murdered on Up to You. On Lights Out, Wayne takes a shot at upgrading some fire from the debut in the form of Everything
I know you can't be close to me, pop, I know. But I know you watching over me, pop, I know.
and Get Off the Corner,
And if you know like I know, you better get off the corner.
being light adjustments to songs Up to You and The Block Is Hot. It's easy to see Wayne's constant improvement. On the Grind, Little One, Realize, and Wayne giving context to his life of being a teenage father and taking care of his family on the stellar record Grown Man. Normally we wouldn't focus on mixtape, but for Wayne, it's so instrumental to his growth as a rapper, you can't explain this ascension without him. After his debut album, he formed the group called Squad Up. They dropped 7 mixtapes with Wayne building onto his style, giving a bit of a New York-inspired flow, adding to Wayne's repertoire. When you get to Wayne's third album, 500 Degrees, it felt like the end of Cash Money. Wayne was the last surviving hot boy, and you could feel the pressure on his shoulders. There is evidence of him getting better, but the album didn't get fans overly excited. There are some good songs to be had though: Young and Blues, Way of Life, Gangsters and Pimps, and Bloodline. Wayne would drop off a couple of mixtapes called The Drought 1 and 2 that got Wayne fans really excited for his next album. Wayne named his album The Carter, based on his last name and the building The Carter that Nino Brown ran in the movie New Jack City. He even used the theme of him giving you a tour through the building, which worked well. For those that weren't following the Squad Up and Drought mixtapes, Wayne was top tier overnight. The intros and the skits were fire. Go DJ was consistent in clubs and cars.
Say go DJ, that's my DJ.
And I Miss You Dog was a favorite amongst early Cash Money fans. Bring It Back has Wayne claimed best rapper alive since the best rapper retired. And even though it was not perceived so, it wasn't a claim you could ignore. Manny Fresh was providing some of his tightest production of his career, and Wayne tore apart everything he touched. Wayne was entering his prime. Wayne would drop his label mixtape, Young Money The Mixtape Volume 1, as well as his first in his multi-part Dedication mixtape series. Dedication 1 is heavily comprised of songs from the Young Money mixtape. Dedications 1 was dope, but Wayne dropped off his defining album, The Carter 2. Wayne was better than he even thought he was at this point. This album is his best work, boasting some of his heaviest hitting records. It's easier to name the songs that you don't like on this album than it is to name the ones that you do. At the time of the release, Fireman was going crazy.
Hit my chain, 2 Sam net. Tropical colors, you can't match that.
Money on the Mind could be heard everywhere.
When it comes to that, don't struggle, watch your slip.
Shooter became a classic.
So many doubt, cause I come from the south. But when I open up my mouth, oh, come out.
Hustler's music showed Wayne on another wavelength with his freestyling formula.
So I be who I be, that's me, that's BZF baby. And
Best Rapper Alive has some of Wayne's best bars with the confidence in the world and an amazing intro as well as a rock and roll style hook. This album is so incredible. Wayne had literally willed himself to the top of rap. You would think with Tune's newfound success, he'd slow down a bit and bask in his glory, but that's not what happened. Wayne started doing features with literally anyone and gave us another Dedications mixtape with Dedications 2 and Like Father Like Son the album with Birdman. The Carter 2 was the start of one, if not the greatest run of an artist in music.
I am the beast, feed me rappers and feed me beats.
It will be Wayne's next album though that will turn him into an international superstar. The Carter 3. The Carter 3 was led by the single Lollipop featuring Static Major, who had just passed away. Fresh into the T-Pain and the 808s and Heartbreak sound, Lil Wayne's auto-tune hit blew up everywhere. The Bangladesh producer Millie took center stage in the clubs and cars and streets as well.
I'm millionaire, I'm a young money millionaire.
The album also featured Mr. Carter, featuring an out-of-retirement verse from Hove, Comfortable featuring the legend Babyface, Mrs. Officer featuring the hot Bobby Valentino,
I know she the law, and she know I'm the ball, and she know I get high.
Lollipop Remix featuring Ye himself, and a bunch of other fire records. The Carter 3 is Lil Wayne's most commercially successful album. We will continue to get features from Wayne,
If I don't do nothing, I'm about.
but we also got his legendary No Ceilings mixtape, which made his infamous intro recognizable, as well as him putting his label Young Money together with his cornerstones being new signees Drake and Nicki Minaj. Weezy was on his way to jail for 8 months, so before the day came, he set Nick and Drake up for success, then recorded as many songs, features, and music videos as possible. During his jail stint, you would never know that Wayne was gone due to the amount of music out with his voice on it. A month before going in, Wayne dropped off his rock album, Rebirth, and 7 months later, I Am Not a Human Being. These albums may be divisive amongst some fans, but no one can deny that these albums still house some hits. American Star, Prom Queen, On Fire, Drop the World,
I'ma pick the world up and I'ma drop it on your neck.
Running, right above it, and I'm Single, Go Hard Today.
Yeah, I'm single. Nigga had to cancel that bitch like Nina.
Less than 12 months after his release from prison, we got the Carter 4. Nearly selling 1 million copies in a week, Wayne tapped back into the well that blew him up. Weezy came with a slightly different energy as well as some new features. The intro, interlude, and outro are one big song split up with features from Andre 3000, Tech 9, Bun B, Nas, Sean, and Busta Rhymes. We also got the huge records 6 Foot, 7 Foot,
Bitch, real G's moving silence like lasagna.
She Will, How to Love, and John. But don't sleep on Blunt Blowing, So Special, and Abortion. I'm Not a Human Being 2 would come out 2 years later. It's a fairly divisive album and would be Wayne's final album on Cash Money Records in hindsight. 2 years later, the Cash Money relationship had seemed to have run its course. A few days before the Carter 5 was supposed to be released, Wayne let fans know it wasn't coming due to an issue with the label. 7 months later, he dropped FWA, or the Free Weezy album. Initially, it was released only on Tidal, but made its way to other streaming services a few years later. Wayne began sharpening his flow and reverting more towards the Carter direction that everyone praised, with some new tricks as well. For Tune's 12th album, he worked on it for 6 years on and off. Wayne sounded reinvigorated and back on his shit. It doesn't quite hit the heights of the original 3 Carters or debatably the 4th, but there's still some bangers here. Uproar,
What the f though? Where the love go? 5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
Mona Lisa, Dope Niggas, Dedicate, and the XXXTentacion assisted Don't Cry that he lent vocals to right before he passed away. We would only have to wait 1.5 years for Wayne's next album, Funeral. Wayne said that this album was a continuation to his rock album Rebirth, but the rock elements are not very evident. Some of the records are partially experimental for sure, but some records are more akin to records from the Carter series. There is fire to be found on records like Funeral, Mahogany, Dreams, Harden, Sight and Silencers, and more. Depending on who you ask on this one, you'll get different favorite records. Weezy has too many mixtapes to name, as well as joint projects with artists like 2 Chainz, T-Pain, Rich the Kid, and possibly more to come. By 2017, Wayne had accumulated over 430 features, only being beaten by Snoop Dogg, and that's not including his albums or mixtapes. In the midst of these features, Wayne had laid some of the most legendary verses and hooks.
Blowing on the corner, head swagger like moi, church, but I'm too clean for the choir.
Also, Wayne has had 167 songs enter the Billboard Hot 100 charts, only behind Drake. Over his career, Wayne has put on some of the industry's best artists. Currency, Tyga, You Can Make a Case for 2 Chainz, and of course, Drake and Nicki Minaj. Weezy gave them the advice and the push to become two of the biggest artists the industry has ever seen. Wayne has never taken away their shine and has always given them the room to grow as individuals. They both can stand on their own, and according to Wayne, there's still more to come. When it comes to influences in hip-hop, there are many. But when it comes to this newer generation of hip-hop, you'd be hard-pressed to not hear Lil Wayne's career inside of their DNA. Wayne, being who he is, has practically worked with everyone in the music industry over the course of his career, and sometimes twice over. On top of that, we cannot overstate the impact Wayne has had on the mixtape industry. The sheer volume of music he will release in a year is practically second to none. So what's next for Wayne? More music, more artists from Young Money, more products like his marijuana strand, Jikua? The sky's the limit for Tune. Lil Wayne is a perfect example of manifesting your destiny. He took the music industry, he turned it into Wayne's world, and we still live in it. And because of this, Wayne is the Neo in this matrix. This has been Dame Diddy of R.O.S E, giving Lil Wayne his rose.